What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be doing my favorite tag, 20 questions. And on our video today, we have my wonderful husband. If that sounds interesting to you, you guys are definitely in the right place. Stick around for the rest of the video. It's reading time here at J-Bay's Corner. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello everybody, my name is Arjun and I have the privilege of being Jayshree's husband, as you can see, and she finally convinced me to do this video with her, so I guess let's get down to it.
All right. So just as a preface, my husband is very well educated, likes to continuously tease his brain and learn more and more and more. He likes books that challenge him, teach him new things, enjoys nonfiction, and oftentimes thinks what I read is drivel. But that's okay, because we are all about supporting any form of genre and book on this channel. And so today we are going to learn something new from Arjun. All right, and jumping into it. So as we get into the first question here, what are your favorite genres to read? Actually, before we do that, I just want to say, for those of you that are new, welcome to the channel. My name is Jaya. I put out videos every Wednesday and Sunday, primarily on bookish related content. If that sounds like something you may enjoy, definitely stick around. For those of you that are returning, thank you for being here. It's been such an amazing journey and pleasure to create this bookish community with all of you, and I can't thank you enough for your support. With that being said, we're going to jump into the video again. So, what are your favorite genres to read?
Primarily nonfiction, anything that is related to psychology, economics, science. And when I say science, usually it's chemistry or environmental science, climate change.
Also like a lot of books that have to do with health. He recently read this book called Gut, which was also turned into a TV show, if I'm not mistaken.
Not TV show, there was a
documentary.
Yeah, the author of the book made a documentary on Netflix, which is very good, and I urge everybody to watch it if you haven't already. And it's very informative, and it teaches everybody about the importance of the microbiome.
Yes, which he then liked to quote to me, because my microbiome is questionable at best. Moving on. Do you read more relatively popular books or underrated books, would you say? Like, even in terms of nonfiction, there's obviously authors that are more well-known, like Malcolm Gladwell, etc. Are there specific authors that you naturally gravitate towards, or do you feel like you prefer more obscure authors? Do you have preferences?
I don't know, depends. The definition of obscure versus well-known is relative, I guess. For example, if I were to show you this author, even though he's a New York Times bestseller, would you know who this author is?
There's probably quite a few people who do, actually. If it's a New York Times
Nassim
bestseller.
Nicholas Taleb. This is The Black Swan. This is a book that I reread every year. Apparently there's a movie with the same title. I wouldn't know.
Yes,
but
with the Natalie, no.
About some
Natalie Portman?
About some dancing thing, but this topic is completely different. Anyway, I mean, all of these, the ones that I brought here, just for examples, these are all New York Times bestsellers. I don't know how much that necessarily means anything these days. Of course, when it comes to definitions of who is well known, who is not, I mean, this is a classic by everybody's standards because it's written by Daniel Kahneman, who is a Nobel Prize winner. So.
I've also heard that book a lot, Thinking Fast and Slow. It tends to be popular. I've also seen it taught in certain colleges before as well. So to answer the question, it sounds like he does read some mainstream authors within the nonfiction world, but he also likes to find his interesting authors and new reads as well.
I guess if you want to talk about fiction, the last thing I read and reread was Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton. And of course, I don't know if you know the story, the history behind that book. Michael Crichton was inspired he was inspired to write Jurassic Park by, stuff that came out while he was doing his MD PhD. So PCR, the technology PCR, polymerase chain reaction for amplifying DNA, it was discovered during the 70s and 80s while he was doing his MD PhD, and he was, using his imagination, and he thought, what's the potential of this technology? What can we do with this? And he thought, hey, can we create dinosaurs with this? And he created a cool story out of it. So
Clearly, he was also
Yeah.
terrified by DNA process since he did create a horror series with Jurassic Park.
Well-
but still
well, the book,
is considered horror.
is it? I don't know.
Yeah, it's listed as horror.
I guess. I guess the difference between the book and the movie. In the book, Ian Malcolm dies.
Wasn't he the one that does the quote, God created dinosaurs?
I don't know if that's not in the book.
That was in
That's
the movie, but that's
only in
Ian
the
Malcolm's
movie.
character,
Yeah,
correct? In the movie?
God creates dinosaurs. God destroys dinosaurs. God creates man. Then man creates dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs.
No. Man creates dinosaurs. Man destroys God.
Correct.
And then
Dinosaurs
And then
eat
Ellie
man.
Sattler says.
No. Dinosaurs eat man, women, and
Yeah, that's what Ellie Sattler says.
Love it. Love
Yeah.
it. From what author have you read the most books?
I don't know. I don't keep track. Maybe J.K. Rowling, because she's written all the Harry Potters.
He does love Harry Potter. This is one of the things we bond on. What audiences, young adult, middle grade, adult, do you tend to gravitate towards the most? Maybe for that question, we'll focus on fiction.
Even then, adult. Like,
You do realize Harry Potter is young
okay,
adult.
yeah, but I read all the Harry Potters when I was much younger. But even now, if I were to read a fiction book, it would still be adult. Like, I prefer reading classics or anything written older, or even now I'm trying to get into reading more of Steinbeck's books, which are for
Of Mice
adults.
and Men. Excellent.
I read
Also fun, fast-paced book.
I read The Grapes of Wrath. That was
Painful.
excellent.
Painful.
Excellent, but it holds a special place for me in my heart. So
Painful. Not in the sense that it's a bad book. Agree. Very well written book. It has won awards and accolades for a reason, and Steinbeck is obviously phenomenal. Painful. Have you most relatable character that you have ever read? Read, not watched. Don't say many.
well,
There's a running joke between the two of us that his spirit animal is Manny from Modern Family. So, yeah, do with that what you will. What is your most relatable character that you have read? Don't say Dudley either.
Dudley Dursley.
Mm-hmm. Don't you dare.
Oh god, you don't want me to say my theory as to how Harry Potter should have really ended?
Read the face. Continue. Favorite character that you've read that you've related to?
From a fiction book.
Or a memoir. Like, is there any person's life that you really resonated with or related to?
Maybe it's okay. So there's a passage in here, right, as to, and I can bring this up now, that as to why this book resonated with me so heavily, especially when I was in grad school. So let me see if I can find it. And this is why you annotate the pages so you can easily find these cool quotes. So okay, here's the passage. I'll just read it. So he starts. So the topic of this is about uneven outcomes and getting irregular results in life. So the passage is called Peer Cruelty. So every morning you leave your cramped apartment in Manhattan's East Village to go to your laboratory at the Rockefeller University in the East 60s. You return in the late evening and people in your social network ask you if you had a good day, just to be polite. At the laboratory, people are more tactful. Of course you did not have a good day. You found nothing. You are not a watch repairman. Your finding nothing is very valuable since it is part of the process of discovery. Hey, you know where not to look. Other researchers, knowing your results, would avoid trying your special experiment, provided a journal is thoughtful enough to consider your found nothing as information and publish it. Meanwhile, your brother-in-law is a salesman from a Wall Street firm and keeps getting large commissions, large and steady commissions. He is doing very well, you hear, particularly from your father-in-law, with a small pensive nanosecond of silence after the utterance, which makes you realize that he just made a comparison. It was involuntary, but he made one. Holidays can be terrible. You run into your brother-in-law at family reunions and invariably detect unmistakable signs of frustration on the part of your wife, who briefly fears that she married a loser before remembering the logic of your profession. But she has to fight her first impulse, Her sister will not stop talking about their renovations, their new wallpaper. Your wife will be a little more silent than usual on the drive home. This sulking will be made slightly worse because the car you are driving is rented, since you cannot afford to garage a car in Manhattan. What should you do? Move to Australia and thereby make family reunions less frequent? Or switch brothers-in-law by marrying someone with a less successful brother? And another passage down here. You work on a project that does not deliver immediate or steady results. All the while, people around you work on projects that do. You are in trouble. Such is the lot of scientists, artists, and researchers lost in society rather than living in an insulated community or an artist colony. So, this is one of the passages in this book, and that really, really, really resonated with me when I was in graduate school, because 99% of your days when you're doing science in graduate school, you're discovering nothing.
But as the book pointed out, there is value to it, and I still maintain that your nothings did have value.
Yes, but there are no journals where you can publish novel results.
That's not true. There's a lot of there's a lot of studies that actually have the hypothesis proven wrong that are still published that are very important. Those are actually studies that we read while I was in medical school. So, just saying, they do exist. Have you always loved reading?
When I was a little kid, yes. And then I guess getting into high school did kill the joy of reading for a while, because English was just taught so rigorously in our high school, and it really killed any desire I had to read fiction, especially classics, because the depth of analysis we had to do when reading fiction was just so intense that it really put me off wanting to read fiction for a while. After that, I only got back into reading fiction or nonfiction after entering graduate school.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But it sounds like now that you've gotten back into it, you're enjoying it again.
Yeah, when I have the time, I do like to read, and usually that's when I'm in an airport or when I'm on a flight or something.
And in the mornings when he's drinking his coffee before I come bother him. What's a book you feel like was written for you? I know you kind of mentioned Black Swan. Is there another book that you feel also hits that target?
Yeah, there are a couple. Black Swan, this one for sure, Black Swan. This one too, I'm a musician, and this book is also extremely well written and is also very informative as to the neuroscience behind music and how musicians think. There's also another book that I can bring that I forgot to bring here. It's called Peak by Anders Ericsson, and it talks about the theories behind excellence in human psychology. So
is that one of the books you also referenced in your workshop?
yes. So Malcolm Gladwell's in Outliers, Malcolm Gladwell has a chapter about the quote-unquote 10,000 hour rule, where he talks about how to achieve perfection or excellence in a certain skill. You have to practice it for 10,000 hours, whether it's karate, whether it's computer programming. He talks about Bill Joy, whether it's being a pilot, whether it's being a musician, whether it's being an athlete. You need that 10,000 hours of practice. But this theory that Malcolm Gladwell kind of put a name to in Outliers was based on research by a professor called K. Anders Ericsson at Florida State University. And he was the person who actually did the original study that Gladwell quotes in Outliers, where he studies musicians in a German music conservatory in the mid 90s, and Anders Ericsson, he tries to distinguish the main factor which separates the top students at that conservatory versus the middle versus the lower tier. the lower tier who would just primarily go on to become music teachers in their life versus the top musicians in the conservatory who would likely become, first chair violinists in national symphony orchestras. And he was trying to determine what the key variable was that determined these outcomes for all these musicians in their lives from that conservatory, who by all measures would all be pretty good because they all made it to that conservatory. But he found that the only factor that was distinguishing the top musicians from the bottom ones there was just accumulated lifetime hours of practice. And that's where he came up with that theory that by the time those top students had come to that conservatory, they had already practiced for about 7,000 to 10,000 hours total in their lifetime. So that's where he came up with that theory. And so, Malcolm Gladwell found that paper and popularized it in Outliers. And if you read Peak, the book by Anders Ericsson, he actually says in the foreword, I'm grateful to Malcolm Gladwell for popularizing my work and, presenting to the mass audience, but in the process he missed a little bit of nuance. So that's kind of what, prompted me to write this book.
So honestly, it sounds like a lot to do with neuroplasticity as well, which is something that we have talked about in the past.
Yes.
For those that don't know, I also had a background in neuroscience. And so one of the reasons why music and practice and the way that your brain learns skills became something that we really enjoyed talking about is because of our shared passion for various interests and activities. But whereas Arjun puts his whole mind, soul, heart, being into a art form and religiously pursues it, I'm more of the 5,000 hours and quit type of person, and jack of all trades but not the best at anything kind of vibes. And so that's kind of what prompted these conversations. And then he actually does workshops for his students where we were talking about neuroplasticity as well, and this was a keynote that came up during that workshop as well. So very, very interesting. Really do encourage people to read these books if you are interested. It's particularly in the art of learning and how the brain actually computes information.
Once again, this book is called This Is Your Brain on Music by Daniel Levitin, and it's very well written. It's geared towards anybody who has an interest in not science specifically, but also in music.
Do you prefer first or third person in terms of writing?
No preference. Even these books, like, they're nonfiction, but this is still written in first person. Same with this is still written in first person.
Are you a first person reader then primarily?
So is this one. This, even though it's nonfiction, this is still first person. Daniel Kahneman switches between first and third in this book because it's psychology. So, when he's tracing his own thought patterns, he might be thinking and writing in the first person. When he's talking about general studies, it might be in the third person. So I don't really have a preference per se.
Are you a mood reader or a TBR reader?
What do those mean?
Mood reader means that you're going to read something based on how you're feeling or what's happening in your life in that moment. TBR usually means that you have a select set of books that you want to go through in a specific order, and you're going to work your way through that list of books.
Yeah, I guess I'm a mood reader because when I do want to find a topic and learn about it, I will find books to read on that topic. So
that's fair.
So yeah.
I've never really seen you say this is a list of books I need to get through. That's more my vibes.
But usually once I start reading a book, I try to finish it.
No, that's also
even if
true.
It takes me a while. I know it took me months to get through Thomas Piketty's Capital in the 21st Century, which that was very dry.
That's also a big, fat, thick book, if I remember correctly. Isn't it like almost 1,000 pages?
Yeah.
I remember just looking at it and being like, why? It's causing my brain pain. But, masochists will be masochists. Series or standalones?
Both. I don't mind. If a book is a part of a set, then I read the first one and it's well written, then I usually am inclined to read the rest of the series. But Again, no preference. Like, this was the first of Talb's books that I read, and because it was such a good book, I ended up reading, the rest of the books in his collection, which are Fooled by Randomness, Anti-Fragile. There's one more, I forget.
I think it's in the cover.
Yeah. No, it's not in this one. They came after this, so it's not in there. Anyway.
I think we already answered this question. Do you annotate your books? I'm going to show the answer to this question. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. He does. He most definitely does, with color coding, so that he can find what he needs to refer to. Do you prefer a long book or a short book?
But again, long versus short is all relative. What does that mean?
So
Some people consider the
long.
Da Vinci Code long.
So 300 versus 700 pages.
Again, that's all relative, because some people consider the Da Vinci Code long, but in the Da Vinci Code, every chapter is like 2 pages.
True that. Okay.
So it's all relative. I mean, these books might be considered long, I guess. I don't know.
I would say that's average.
This is like
400 pages?
450 pages.
I think 300 to 400 pages is average typically for most chapter books these days. Do you have a favorite bookish trope? This is going to be more relevant to the fiction that you read than the nonfiction.
I don't know. I don't think so. The last couple of fiction books I've read have primarily been classics. So,
is there a genre within classics that you naturally gravitate towards more? Like, for example, when you think of like Charles Dickens novels, when you're talking about Oliver Twist and things like that, you're obviously seeing an urchin come to success.
I do want to get back and read more Charles Dickens. It's been on my list for a while. I
do have many.
Yeah.
Please feel free to read.
I want to read Great Expectations.
Oh, such a good book. Freaking love Great Expectations. Mrs. Havisham, for the win. I realize she's crazy, but I freaking love her. And her wedding gown.
I liked reading A Christmas Carol.
A Christmas Carol is also excellent. Awesome. Definitely well done, especially the doorknob that changes when he looks at it.
Tale of Two Cities was just so dry. I remember reading that in high school, and
it was the best day, and it was the worst day. Anyways.
I want to read Hard Times, because I've heard good things about it. So
that one, not for me. Oliver Twist is also very depressing, but it's well written.
And Robert Louis Stevenson, I want to read the originals. I remember reading Treasure Island when I was a kid. I want to reread that.
Treasure Island is a good classic, for sure. That one's fun.
Kidnapped was also a good one.
I don't think I've heard of that one.
Robert Louis Stevenson, I have that.
What one's that about?
See, that's
I'm guessing kidnapping.
I need to reread it. It's been a while.
That's fair. Do you have a favorite book to TV adaptation? Like, do you think Gut, for example, did a good job? Or Bad Blood? I know how much you loved Bad Blood.
Oh yeah, okay. That's a good one. Bad Blood was actually good. So Bad Blood is the book about Theranos, the biotech company that they tried to create a diagnostic device that could do 1001 blood tests under the sun. Of course, it was based on dubious science, and Liz Holmes did not have a true background in biomechanical engineering. So
it was very, very, very interesting, and it's one of the few books that I read and actually really enjoyed. It's told like a fiction novel written by a New York Times
reporter, John Carreiro. He did an excellent job.
Phenomenal book,
doing investigative reporting for this book.
Got turned into a TV show.
That's right.
Well.
And Amanda Seyfried did an excellent job acting as Liz Holmes. You can literally see her, like, she does the scene where she's looking at herself in the mirror, and she's practicing her voice, and she's working on deepening her voice and talking like this, like a man,
in order to have better command and control of a room and to be perceived in a specific way.
Another good one is Super Pumped. That's also a very good. That book is about Uber.
Was that turned into a film as well?
That was turned into a Netflix series.
There we go.
Yeah, Super Pumped is about the founding of Uber, and it's all about kind of Travis Kalanick's arc with founding Uber, taking that almost to IPO, and then getting kicked out by the board because he was a bit of a crazy person. So, but they turned that into a Netflix series, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt did an excellent job acting as TK, or Travis Kalanick. So that's also great. I urge everyone to watch that too.
I love it. I love it. He already answered number 15, which was, do you DNF? And the answer was no. He tries not to DNF whenever possible.
What's that?
You don't not finish a book if you've started reading it?
No. I try to finish. Yeah.
What's a book you wish had a sequel? I know the answer to this, but I don't know if you'll say this book. I'm very curious.
What's a book that I wish had a sequel?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I have to think about that.
I was thinking the book that's written about Australia.
Bill Bryson's book about Australia.
Would love a second book in that.
Oh yeah. So Bill Bryson. Okay, so I guess I should mention him too. It's nonfiction, but it's like
it's almost like comical. It's
comedy
funny.
nonfiction. So Bill Bryson is an author who was born in the U.S. but then lived in England for 2 decades and then moved back to the U.S. But now I think he moved back to England. Anyway, he wrote a book. I first came across his writing because my grandfather had one of his books called I'm a Stranger Here Myself, which is all about his experiences moving back to the US after living in England for 2 decades, and how he just found life in the US so odd after living in England. And it was kind of relatable because I also moved to the US from Australia. So some of the observations that he made about US culture were kind of relatable. I was like, I kind of feel you on that. Some of the things about how US homes all have garbage disposals in the sink. Yeah, incinerators. It's an American thing. You don't see that in any other country.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I did not know that. I've gotten very used to my garbage disposal.
Small thing, observations like that.
But the one that I'm specifically thinking of is the book he wrote about Australia.
Yes,
so Arjun actually lived in Australia for 8 years?
10 years.
10 years.
So that book is called In a Sunburned Country.
It's hilarious.
It's all about Bill Bryson. He takes a trip to Australia for a couple of months, and he writes about his thoughts on the Australian people, where he went, things he did, and his writing style is hilarious. It's comical, but he teaches you a lot. I actually learned quite a bit about Australia by reading that book. For example, I did not know about. Did you know there was a Prime Minister of Australia called Harold Holt, who
I did not know that.
He was actually pretty well known during the 60s because he was the Prime Minister of Australia during during the Vietnam War. But his claim to fame is that he randomly decided to jump in the ocean and go for a swim and then disappeared.
Crocs.
And then he was never found again.
Crocs.
And the most hilarious thing is, how they
spotted octopus?
Who knows? They never found his body.
Great whites.
His body was never found. So it could be any of those things. But you know what they did to commemorate him in Australia? They built a swimming pool in his name.
Honestly, though, I think the best thing about Australia that I also learned from that book is that it's one of the few countries where literally there are more things there that can kill you.
Correct.
Than can keep you alive. It's quite fascinating.
That being said,
there are millions of animals there that are highly, highly poisonous and toxic, of which we saw a few when we went to Australia. I will link that video. It was probably one of the best trips I've ever taken. We saw a freaking carpet python in the wild. It was so cool. Anyways, neither here nor there. What is your favorite fictional place or setting that you've read?
Fictional place?
Mm-hmm. For example, mine is Hogwarts.
I was going to say that.
You can say Hogwarts.
At the risk of being cliche.
No, you're not cliche. We're married. You should be cliche with me. We would be in Hogwarts. He would be a Ravenclaw, though he believes he's a Hufflepuff. And I would be a Slytherin, though I should really be a
The other thing I could say Gondolin from the Silmarillion. since I'm a Tolkien fan and you are not.
That is fair. I'm not That's not fair. I love The Hobbit. I just don't like The Lord of the Rings. Okay, I don't understand why the first 150 pages of The Fellowship of the Ring was literally about the Shire. Dude, it did not need to be that long, of which 20 pages describe the dirt road and the forests, okay? I don't care. I do not care.
That's part of Tolkien's world building. That's how he writes. Yeah, and you have to get into it. He's such a good writer.
He is a very good writer. Hobbit was honestly probably one of the best books that I've ever read. I have absolutely read that book and loved it. Ebooks, audiobooks, or physical books? What is your preference?
Physical. A book it's an experience, and I think there is a quote by, at the risk of something, it's not in, I don't think it's in this book, but there is a quote by Taleb where he writes about the value of physical books and how it's about, not just about the information that's written in the book, there's also something to be said about the sensory experience, about holding the book in your hand, feeling the weight of the book in your hand, the smell of the pages, even just the mere fact of having a pile of books like this can serve to intimidate other people. So if that's what you want to do.
I love it. And that does actually bring us to the end of this video. The last question he had already answered, which is basically a page length preference, which Arjun has already said that he does not necessarily have a preferred page length. But thank you so much for that insight into your brain. It took a lot for me to convince him to do this. Let's all give him a round of applause. Good job, Arjun. Good job. Beautiful, beautiful. Well done. And we do thank you for being a guest star on our show today here at J-Bay's Corner in our 20 Questions tag. For those of you that are here new, thank you for being here. This channel is primarily about books with a random smattering of travel and other things in the middle. If that sounds like something you may enjoy, definitely consider hitting that subscribe button and that notification bell. I would love to have you back in the future for more videos. And for those of you that are returning, thank you for being part of the community. Thank you for helping me build this communal experience for our shared love of books, and also creating an environment where I had to force my husband to be on social media. I do truly appreciate each and every one of you. And please leave comments below if there's anyone that's interested in doing a 20 questions tag with me, or if there's anyone that you would like to see in the 20 questions tag, definitely let me know. I would love to see if I can arrange that. Otherwise, I hope wherever you are in the world that you're feeling safe, secure, and loved. Everyone's getting plenty of time to rest, relax, and read, and is getting plenty of time to enjoy a good book. We will catch you on the next video. Bye, everyone.
Bye.